Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
It's the big event we've all been waiting for. The countdown is here. Yes, sod the World Cup. It's the US Open. Welcome along to our golf special postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of Racing Post golf gurus Ian Wilkerson and Steve Palmer, as well as Ian McLaughlin from Paddy Power, we are going to take you through all the best bets for the 4-day extravaganza that kicks off in Shinnecock Hills on Thursday, just before Russia and Saudi Arabia start the World Cup. We will look at the outrights, the best outsiders, top American, top everyone, see if there's any other specials lurking, and the boys will give them their naps. And Steve Palmer promises us he's been working on a special rendition of This Will Not Be Beaten, so do not miss that. Right then, before we look at who's going to win it, Steve, give us a little overview on Shinnecock Hills and the type of course it is and the type of player it's going to suit. And by the way, the first thing I've heard about is that the traffic is an absolute nightmare. So I think someone said there's half a chance that the odd player will miss their tee time. So be prepared to have to get onto your bookmaker and try and barter for a refund.
Well, this is it. Yeah, Tiger Woods has been winding up the opposition, isn't he? Because he's obviously got his big yacht there that he just strolls over to the course from his yacht. And he's been suggesting that everyone else is going to miss their tee time because they'll be stuck in the New York traffic. So, yeah, Tiger's been having a little wheeze up.
Are you suggesting he does actually walk on water, that he's going to stroll over from his yacht, Steve?
Yeah, every chance. Maybe a jet ski or something. But, yeah, I don't know about missing tee times. I just have to set off a bit earlier. But, yeah, Shinnecock Hills, par 70, fast running. Initially, they widened the fairways dramatically from the previous time it hosted, which was 2004, but then they had a little bit of a panic after last year's US Open when 16 under was a winning score. They didn't like that, so they've brought the fairways in a little bit further, but they're still relatively wide for a US Open. And then it gets harder from there. The very small approaches, small targets on approach, and then the greens are the biggest defence. Absolutely rock hard, devilish Poana greens, and lots of 3-putts this week.
Who does it suit then? The big hitters, the crafty merchants around the green?
Power's essential. I mean, it's 7,445 yards. That's very long for a par 70. A series of long par 4s. So I think driver will be the club off the tee for everyone in the field, even the big hitters. So, power is very useful. But I think touch is probably the most important element this week. On and around the greens, you've got to be very, very sharp because a lot of the greens are like upturned saucers and they're full of pace. And as I say, the USGA are very keen on keeping the scores down this year, so they'll keep the greens as pacey as possible.
Righty-ho, Ian McLaughlin, hit us with a nice deep show of betting from Paddy Power.
Sure, we are at 10 places this week in the outright. So Dustin Johnson heads our betting at 15-2, Rory McIlroy next in at 12-1, Justin Rose 12-1, Justin Thomas 12-1, Jason Day 14-1, John Ram 16-1, Ricky Fowler 16-1 and 18-1 bar.
And Ian, I haven't spoke to you since the Masters. How was it for you?
It was good. I was the Players' Championship.
Oh, Players, that's it, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that was a good one.
Who won that? Who won the Players?
Webb Simpson.
Of course he did. Oh, of course he did. How could I forget, Steve? I could forget because I forgot to do the cross doubles and it cost me 20 grand. That's how. Anyway.
It's out your mind.
Right then, let's kick off with who's going to win. Wilco, you can lead the way. Who is the one player, if you're only allowed to have one bet, that you'd be backing?
I'd be going with Justin Rose, 2013 champion, so he's already got a US Open under his belt. He's probably the most consistent golfer on the planet, really, and he just ticks every box for the skills that people are going to need to have a successful week. Although it's probably telling that 5 of the top 6 in the betting last year missed the cut. So, it might pay to have a little look a bit further down the line, which we'll talk about in due course. But I think Rose is such a consistent performer, and I really want to have him on side this week.
Ian Wilkerson, I arrest you for stealing Steve Palmer's thunder.
Well, you did have to ask me.
I didn't know you were going to go.
You could have gone first.
Steve.
I don't mind Wilco getting involved with Rose. You talk about his consistency. I'll give you an amazing stat. Since the USPGA in the middle of August, Rose has played in 20 tournaments. He's won 4 of them, and he's had a top 10 finish in 15 of them.
Wow.
I mean, that is just relentless consistency. He has stepped up a gear. He's become the complete golfer because the key change this year is he's become a good putter. He's suddenly become a good putter. His ball striking was always phenomenal. you felt he could find greens in regulation with a blindfold on. His swing is that repetitive, that textbook. But now he's got a handle on his short game and has become the complete golfer, and Shinnecock is the complete test. It's a match made in heaven. He won at Colonial a couple of weeks ago on a fast-running par 70. He himself, he was staggered with how well he played at Colonial. He hadn't played there for a few years. His ball striking was as good as it ever has been. And I think it is important. I didn't mention it in the preview today because I didn't have enough space, but I think it's important that he didn't have that trip for the BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth. He normally has a very tiring late May trip to Surrey to deal with, a lot of attention on him over there. I think he's fresher for this US Open than he has been for previous ones. And I just don't see any holes in Rose this week. I thought 16-1 was a very, very, very solid each-way bet.
And how much have you had on him, Steve?
I have had £3,057.32 on the win.
Why do you always... Have you ever had a bet that's like a tombola number that ends in a 0 or a 5? They're always these weird bets.
When you get to a position where you're just targeting amounts to win, you
is
don't
that what happens?
Focus on the stake. Yeah, the stake.
So what have you backed him to win then?
I have backed him to win 48,000 on the win, and then another £2,000 on the top 10.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Jolly good. Ian McLaughlin, who's going to win the US Open?
I think Henrik Stenson's going to win the US Open this week. I think he's primed to have a huge tournament. He's had 6 top 30s in his last 8 US Open appearances, 9th at Bethpage 2009, 4th at Pinehurst in 2014. He's having a very solid season, been out of the top 30 once all year. Top 5 finishes, Dion La Palmer and the Masters, showing he's showing up in these big events. My slight concerns about length off the tee are nullified somewhat by the fact that Shinnecock will be drying out all week. Plenty of run on the fairway, so he can still use his 3-wood to good effect. Looking through his season-long stats, they look to correlate quite well with a course like Shinnecock Hills. Like, he's 3rd strokes gained tee to green, 13th strokes gained off the tee, 1st in strokes gained approach. Steve mentioned iron play is going to be key. 1st in bogey avoidance, which is a massive factor in the US Open. You obviously got to avoid those big numbers. 6th in scrambling. He just strikes me as a player who's going to hit fairways and greens all week and just hang around for the week and be bang there come Sunday afternoon. Priced at 33-1 out there. I think that's great value, especially with the extra place terms on offer this week. Have you backed him to win 48 grand, Ian? No, nothing of that sort. I'm not the big punter that Steve is. I've had a good bet on him, but nothing of that sort. Jolly good. Steve, we'll stick with you for the outsiders. Who else should we be backing?
The best outsiders, I think Bryson DeChambeau is my idea of the best outsider. He beat an exceptional field to win the Memorial last time out. It's a really gutsy victory. I think this is a man with some really serious minerals, very sound temperament, and I don't think it's too early in his development to be a major contender. He was always destined to be a top player. His amateur career was fantastic. And of all the majors that they're playing, I think the US Open suits him best. He's a real grinder. And it's not like the Memorial was a flash in the pan. He's been playing superbly. He's been a US Tour form horse for a couple of months now. So DeChambeau at 40-1 would be my idea of the best outsider. I have some others at bigger prices if you like, but we might save them for later. 2 former world #1 amateurs, Patrick Rodgers and Peter Rulon, both have failed to realise their potential as yet, but both still young enough to do themselves justice. Patrick Rodgers was basically supposed to be the next Tiger Woods. He matched Tiger Woods' career wins record at Stanford University. Came on to the US Tour and hasn't done himself justice yet, but there's been some very encouraging signs. Finished 8th in Memorial last time out and then went on to qualify for the US Open the following day. I think this course suits Rodgers. And Peter Rulon, he won on the Web.com Tour last year and has been in fantastic form in the US Tour over the last month. I think he's another one that could take a shine to Shinnecock. And those two enormous prices. And out of all the people you've tipped, Steve, who would you most like to go out for a beer with? They're quite nice. They seem quite a nice bunch, aren't they? Yeah, Rose is not on a date, but just to have a chat, you know. Yeah, Rose is a fine young man. John Rahm could probably put a few away, couldn't he? Well, you haven't mentioned John Rahm, have you? Sorry, I've not mentioned John Rahm. Someone you want to go for a beer with? Yeah, I think DeChambeau, I'm not sure we'd click, me and DeChambeau. He's a bit too serious, isn't he? He's a very serious character. So, yeah, I'd probably... Yeah, John Rahm. Sorry, I should have mentioned John Rahm. He's my number 2 selection. I'd like to go for a beer with him, and I think he's the forgotten man this week, just because he hasn't played for a few weeks. But isn't his temperament been found wanting, though? Yeah, this is the question mark a lot of people are putting against him, that he hasn't got the patience for it. But
particularly if he's stuck in traffic for a couple of hours before, and he could boil over.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't factor that in, but no, I really like his 3-ball. He's out in an all-Spanish 3-ball with Cabrera, Bello and Garcia. I think they'll have a right old time of it out there, and I think people are overplaying the patience factor with Rahm. He's a fiery character, but he's when he's playing good golf, he's quite happy, and I think he'll play good golf this week.
Okay, Wilco, you've gone for Rose like Steve has. Who are you adding to your portfolio?
I like Francesco Molinari this week. I was quite surprised to see how far he's been hitting it off the tee. He's averaging more than 300 yards for his drives. I think because he's such an accurate player, people have tended to put him in the bracket with Luke Donald, Jim Furyk, and people like that. People who are just not, don't hit it too far. But I think that's come into his game this year, and he's getting results. He's 7th in shots gained off the tee. He's been in cracking form. He won at Wentworth, and he was 2nd in the Italian Open. He's not got a great US Open record. I think 23rd is his best finish, but I think at 50 to 1 with 10 places available, I think that should give you a run for your money.
Anyone else you want to mention?
I will talk about other people when we're doing the tops, I think.
Will we now? Okay.
Yeah.
Rightio.
I don't want to burn all my bridges. I don't want to peak too early.
Ian, Matt, who else should we back on the outright?
I've got 2. First one is Tani Fleetwood. Again, much like Stenson, I think he's primed for a big week. He's had 2 US Open appearances, 27 at Chambers Bay in 2015 and 4th last year at Darren Hills. A little bit extra width off the tee this week will ease the pressure on his driver, which can get a little loose at times. He's obviously grew up playing this type of links golf at Southport, so she feels very comfortable with conditions. Also, as a ball flight that'll be suited by if the wind starts to blow. Looking through his stats again, they correlate quite well with Shinnecock. 12th strokes gained tee to green, 9th strokes gained off the tee, 23rd strokes gained around the green. You got to have your scrambling up the check around these greens. If his putter warms up, I think he can go very close. And the second one is Patrick Cantley, another elite tee to green technician who can go very well at the price. Grew up playing golf in California, so will be suited to the Poana greens that Shinnecock has. As previous in USGA events at link-style courses with a runner-up finish in the 2011 US Amateur at Darren Hills. He's a former #1 amateur in the world. This year he's put himself in contention at big events like Riviera and Muirfield Village. Didn't quite close them out, but I think he's just slowly gaining experience with each of those top 5 finishes. Again, the stats correlate quite well. 11th strokes gained tee to green, 14th strokes gained off the tee, 31st in strokes gained approach. I know there's slight concerns with his slow play, but this is the one week.
Oh yeah, he's a snail, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is the one week where players will be a little bit more deliberate, so I don't see that being that big of an issue. I've touted him as a future US Open winner for some time. I think he can go very close this week.
Okay. Is he friendless in the market by any chance, Ian? Could we do our bookmakers can't lay Patrick?
You can, exactly. It was like the Masters Patrick won't lay, it's Patrick can't lay this week.
Excellent. Okay, chaps, that's the outright all done and dusted. We'll be back with some more US Open tips in just a mo.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Okay, so we've done the outrights. 2 votes for Justin Rose, 1 for Henrik Stenson. Now let's tuck into all those derivative markets. Top American, top European, top Frenchman, top Swede, top everything. Steve Palmer, you can go first. What's the top tip?
Well, yeah, you've pulled the iron out of the fire there. Top Swede and top Frenchman are the 2 I like most.
These are match bets, aren't they?
Well, they are match bets, but so I don't like the markets that are with much deeper fields. I think top European is too difficult. I think top American is even.
That's what you're in the
difficult.
Side for, pal, to solve these difficult ones.
Well, once I've solved the outright market, I think obviously the outright market's the toughest as well. I think once I've solved that, you can work out the rest for yourself. I mean, I think Rose v Rahm would be the European battle, and then for a top American, DeChambeau, Rodgers, Rulon, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, you take your pick. But yeah, the 2 that I'm very, very confident about are Henrik Stenson to be top Swede. Ian McLaughlin's already talked about Stenson's credentials. And Alexander Levy for top Frenchman. And Stenson's only got to beat Alex Noren, who's got an absolutely shocking record in majors. And Levy has just got to beat Matthew Pavon, who has been in terrible form on the European Tour. He's been missing cuts in rubbish events, fluked his way through the Walton Heath qualifier and is making his stateside debut.
What does that double pay, Steve?
The double pays...
Is it nudging towards against?
It was 17-10 with one firm, and with every firm it was odds against. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So there's opportunities there for a nice chance.
Okay, jolly good. Wilco, have you got any top tips?
Yeah, and I'll just rattle through the American and Europeans. With the European wise, I'd support what Ian said about Fleetwood. It'd be a good bet on that for me for 12-1, and I've talked about Molinari as well. He's 18-1 in that market.
You're giving up on Rose already?
Well, yeah. These are just other, good each-way runners because there's so many each-way places available. America, and I like Brandt Snedeker. He's got an excellent US Open record. He's had a few injury problems, but 6th last week at St Jude, and he's a great putter. You can always rely on him to find his feet. So 8 places available there, about 50-1 on top American. But my top tip for my top is Adam Scott to be top Australian. Jason Day obviously takes quite a lot out of the book and has got a very good record in these events. 4 out of the 4 top 10s in his last 5, missed the cut last year. But apart from that, I don't think Scott's got much sort of rivalry from his fellow countryman. Mark Leishman's second fav, but he's been a bit up and down. You don't know what you're going to get with him. He's finished 9th at the Masters.
Challenges though,
finished
doesn't he?
2
Leishman on his day. He's up there, isn't he?
But then he's also prone to...
Isn't Scott just like rubbish now? Now they've changed the...
Well, he's missed 1 cut in his last 11 tournaments, and he doesn't have to be this...
He never threatens anymore, does he?
Yeah, but we're not getting him to threaten. We're getting him to finish in the first 2 places in a field that includes Cameron Smith, who finished 4th 3 years ago, and has missed his last 3 cuts. 3 debutants. Matt Jones has missed 2 cuts on both times that he's played, and Aaron Badley, who's made just 3 cuts in the last 9 times he's played at the US Open. So I think there's still a bit of each way in
what sort of 9-2. 9-2. Okay, well done, Wilco. Thank you for that. Ian McLaughlin, what are your top tips?
Again, I have 2 here. My first one is top rest of the world, and it's Louis Oosthuizen. Excellent links player who has a very respectable US Open record, should be suited by the ball striking test that Shinnecock possesses. Coming nicely into form with a 5th at Colonial and a 13th at the Memorial Tournament, including a final round 65. Like Wilco said, I personally have my doubts about Jason Day this week, slight niggle about him, and Hideki Matsuyama. They're 2 to head to betting. Prices at 12-1 out there. I think it's a knock on each way bet this week. Okay. And the second one, is Top USA. And it'd be rude, I think, without mentioning Tiger Woods. I had to fit him in somewhere, as I think he's going to have a big week. His ball striking this year has been nothing short of incredible. He's also come full circle with his short game. Remember, a few years ago, he was sculling chips through greens and duffing chips. He didn't know where he was, really. He's come back to being one of the best chipper and pitchers in the game. The extra room off the tee will help him feel more comfortable with his driver. His putter hasn't behaved the last 2 tournaments, but I'm confident he can fix that. Putting seems the last piece of the puzzle before we finally see him lifting another trophy. I see prices of 14-1 out there. I think that's a fair bet again.
Steve, would you be pleased, not from a betting point of view, obviously, but I mean, you love Tiger, don't you? Would you like to see him get back in and get the job done?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't need a financial investment to enjoy that, and it's important to remember what he's done at Pebble Beach, because Pebble Beach is probably the course that's most similar to Shinnecock in terms of it being Poana greens. Yeah, Shinnecock's like a big version of Pebble Beach, and obviously Woods' record day destroyed the field in the US Open once. So Woods, you have to respect Woods, but I wasn't sure the price was anything special. I think I just want to give him a little bit more time. I don't think it's long before the trophy comes, but I'm not certain it's here.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a very snappy verdict from you on specific players. So we'll start with you, Wilco. Dustin Johnson.
Laid down a great marker by winning in such impressive style last week. He's got the ideal game for the course, and he's obviously a US Open winner. I think he's the rightful favourite. Although I like Rose at the price, I think he is the man to beat.
Steve, Rory McIlroy.
Rory McIlroy should make merry from tee to green, but big question marks over whether he can handle these greens. His putting on Poana at the start of the year was X-rated stuff, so I think the greens will find him out.
Ian Mack, your old mucker, Jordan Spieth.
Bit worried about him this week. He's had well-publicised problems with his putter. I think that's starting to affect his long game. He's going to trying to find some confidence. I don't think a place like Shinnecock Hills with a USGA test is going to suit him this week, so we're looking to lay him. Okay,
Wilco, Justin Thomas.
Big hitter, hitter. I think he's got a great chance, and he's he's got over that major hill already. And these young players have got so much confidence. They don't seem to be. They seem fearless.
So what will happen to him?
I would expect him to get in the top 10.
And Steve Palmer, Jadon Blake. Only joking. Right, any other bets that you fancy without giving the nap away? Ian McLaughlin, start with you.
I'll go with a top 20 bet, and it's our old friend Webb Simpson. Won the Players' Championship in May with a stellar performance, tipped up here by myself and Steve. After time, and I know, but still, you got to mention it.
Well played.
2012 US Open champion, albeit on a course slightly different to Shinnecock. Plays well in the wind, I think. Enjoys setups around the Sea Island, Georgia area where the wind consistently blows. He ranks second in scrambling this year, ranks fourth in bogey avoidance, top 30 in strokes gained tee to green. The scrambling bogey avoidance, two key components that need to play well. And this year he's just a player where if the putter is anyway warm or hot from his ball striking is so good, I can see him going close in any tournament. 5-2 for a top 20 finish is a great bet in my opinion.
You make a good case there. Steve, by the way, what's the weather going to be like this week?
Not really going to be a huge factor. Light to moderate breezes and pleasant and clear every day.
Anything else you want to throw in there, Steve, before we do the naps?
What about Brazil to win the World Cup? I think they should be even money. They've only got France to beat at absolute certainty.
Righty-ho. Wilco.
One of the markets we love to have a chat about is the first round leader.
First round leader, yeah, let's do that.
And at a big price, I think Keegan Bradley could go quite well. He's missed one of his last 15 cuts. He's not won a tournament since 2012, but he's a strong straight hitter. He ticks the boxes for this week. He's off at lunchtime, but as Steve said, I don't think the weather might be a particularly big issue on this market. Drives it more than 300 yards, 12th in the accuracy rankings, and in his last five first rounds, 68, 68, 68, 69, 68. Plenty of confidence after 7th at the Players. 80-1 with Paddy's. Bigger out there, worth a poke.
The other Ian, what's the latest betting on first round leader?
So we're 8 places here, and Dustin Johnson has the betting 16-1. Rory's in next at 20-1. Justin Rose 25-1. Justin Thomas 25-1. Jason Day 25-1. 4 more players 25-1 at 30-1 bar.
And have you got one for us, Ian?
I do. I'll put up Brendan Steele. He's 70-1 with us, a lot bigger out there. I think there's 125 out there at the moment. He's got the early tee time. The lads are saying the wind wouldn't have that much of effect, but if you're coming out at 7 o'clock in the morning, you're still going to get the course at its most benign, a bit of dew in the greens and stuff like that. He's got a nice
sprinkling of rain on Wednesday, isn't there, as well? Ian?
Yes, Wednesday even. Yeah, so that could,
so I think morning tee time's still advantageous.
Yeah.
Justin Rose out early. Ian. Sorry, you continue.
With the early tee time, the US Open record he has is 13th and 15th his last 2 starts, so he kind of likes these sort of tests. Obviously a long hitter off the tee, highs top 30 in round 1 scoring average. If you can get 125-1 out there, that's a good bet, I think. And
Steve, have you got one for us, first round leader?
Well, Justin Rose, I'm going to have all my eggs in one basket here, but Justin Rose is 33-1, I think. I just don't understand that price with a very good early start and two decent characters alongside him. Yeah, eight places. Louis Oosthuizen and Jimmy Walker alongside him. Jimmy Walker will be giving him lots of backstops. That's the talk of the tour, isn't it? How Jimmy Walker lets his mates. Are you up to speed on that story?
No, I'm not remotely. I don't understand what on earth you're saying.
Oh, sorry. Jimmy Walker has caused a bit of a stir on the circuit by saying that he leaves his ball there when he's chipping. He leaves his ball there as a backstop for players that he likes, but he goes and marks his ball for players that he doesn't like. So,
does he?
It's a very
his wife was on
story.
as well. Yeah, his wife was on Twitter backing him up as well. Yeah,
it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a disgrace.
But we don't know whether he likes Justin Rose or not. But I suppose Justin Rose is so nice, you can't dislike him.
You can't not like Justin Rose, surely.
Oh, right.
Yeah, fine young man.
So will they have some fun out there?
I think they have a lot of fun out there, yeah.
Great. Naps next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back, Bruce Millington, Steve Palmer, Ian Wilkerson and Paddy Powers. Ian McLaughlin looking ahead to the US Open. If you missed us, Ian Wilkerson fancies Justin Rose, so does Steve Palmer, and Ian McLaughlin fancies Henrik Stenson. We've been through all the tops as well, so we've got loads and loads of bets to lump on. Before we give the naps, I just want to ask, lads, because obviously you know, everyone's a World Cup fan, but you're World Cup and golf fans. How on earth are you going to combine watching the US Open with all this football? There's 7 live World Cup games over the weekend. Steve Palmer, what's the tactic going to be?
I've got huge problems, really, really significant problems. One of Nicola's friends her son's got a birthday party on Saturday afternoon.
Not your problem, mate. Not your problem.
No. I don't intend to go to that. Brazil are playing on Sunday night as well. So you got the final round of the golf and Brazil playing on Sunday night. That's a big test. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to buy a new TV.
What's the birthday party got to do with it?
No, you're right. That's an irrelevance. I mean,
you're under pressure to go, aren't you?
I am under pressure to go, and I won't be going.
You can't go.
If you're listening, Nicola, I won't be going.
Will she be listening?
Yeah. But the thing is, mate, you'll be the only dad there. It'll be a nightmare. You can't go. She's got to cut you some leeway there.
No. To be fair, I think I can work my way out of that one.
Take a radio, mate.
And then aren't you, for the latter stage of the tournament, you're in Sunshine Isle, aren't you, Steve?
That's right, yeah. Mauritius for the middle chunk and then back for the finale, yeah. So hopefully Brazil will still be in it. England going out of the quarterfinals, aren't they, I'm afraid?
Looks like it. Okay, yeah. Wilco, what are you going to be doing? Just flicking away?
Yeah, 2 tellies, iPad, telly. Be all right.
I can't watch 2 tellies at once. I've given up on it. I used to do that thing where, do you remember with the Champions League, they'd have 8 games on the screen.
Yeah.
It's absolutely hopeless, and I can't do it. I just
flick.
Yeah,
I'll just do my best.
I'll just flick. And what about you, Ian?
It's a blessing in disguise. I'll be working all weekend, but there'll be screens all over the place, so I'm sure I won't miss a kick or a swing.
It must be quite good fun, isn't it, there?
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be hive activity.
You supporting England?
No comment there anyway. But
no comment.
We're all friends here, Ian.
If Ireland were in it and England weren't, I'd be supporting Ireland. I know that.
Would you really?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
That does happen, definitely. Yeah. That absolutely does happen. But it doesn't quite work in reverse, Ian, does it?
Let's be friends. Let's be friends.
Okay, so Ian, presumably you've got 3 choices. You either support England, you're ambivalent about England, or you're desperately cheering on whoever they're playing. Which one is it for you?
I'd be ambivalent towards England. I wouldn't care either way, really.
Have you had a World Cup bet?
I have. Brazil.
2 for Brazil. Wilco?
Germany for me.
Germany, okay. Well, I backed Spain last night just before they sacked their manager, so that was no good. Right then, Steve, clear your throat, have a little drink and sing away.
This will not be beaten. This will not be beaten. This will not be beaten. No, this will not be beaten. Be beaten. No, be beaten. No, this will not be beaten. Be beaten. Be beaten. No. This will not be beaten.
It's a bit kraut rock, wasn't it?
That's the new version. It came to me in the shower. Earlier on, I thought, this is going to come up again today. It's gone a bit stale. It needs a revamp. And that's the new version. What do you think?
Love it, mate.
Oh, brilliant.
A little bit longer.
You've certainly shown the total range of your voice there. A lot of it is very baritone, isn't it?
Oh.
And then you turn into Alec Jones at one point.
Pavarotti to Alec Jones.
Yeah.
Right, after all that, Wilco, what's your nap?
My nap is, we've talked about him a lot, my nap is Justin Rose to beat Rory McIlroy in a match bet. I'm not taken by Rory this week. He obviously hosed up when he won at Congressional, but he's missed 3 cuts and 1 top 10 finish in his last 6 goes at the US Open. Poor finish at Wentworth, difficult finish at the Masters as well. Rose, consistent machine. Even money to finish ahead of Rory. I think that's a cracking bet.
If that bet loses, you are doing the This Will Not Be Beaten for the British Open Postcast, okay? A little warning for you. Ian McLaughlin, what's your nap?
I've outlined his chances in the outright betting, but Patrick Cantlay top 20 of 5-2.
Okay, and Steve, what are you going for?
My Rose basket is getting a bit heavy now, I must admit, but I'm going to go for Rose again. The wife would be thrilled to get a Rose basket like this on Valentine's Day, but Rose for a top 10 finish. Looks a cracking bet at odds against. There's 15-8 out there on a Rose.
Why don't you just back him each way with Paddy Power 10 places?
Well, yeah, I obviously the amounts I'm trying to get on the Paddy Power, even though I'm great friends with them.
Why don't listeners do that?
Yeah, they should.
Okay. Thank you very much. Right, don't forget there are a multitude of podcasts coming up. We've got World Cup, we've got racing. Do please join us for those, and don't forget to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes. Thank you very much to the 2 Ians. Thank you very much to Steve. Have a great week. Hope your US Open betting goes well.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.